Our first job was in January 2008, so that's when the business kind of really got started. It's going pretty well. We've had 42 bookings since we started, which is a lot more than I thought.
To date, it's been going very well. I've had quite a few new clients in. I'm finding that most of my clients tend to be agencies who need a bit of extra freelance support and also support with pitching for new business.
It's going really well. It's one of these things where it's kind of gradual increase of kind of orders and things like that. We run through usually batches of 10. We're looking to increase that up to 50 a month.
I think there's always worries to start with because you're doing everything yourself, and are you going to get bookings, and are you going to be doing your accounts properly, and there's always kind of worries that come up, and there's things that you never really thought about that suddenly you're sitting there and you think, okay, do I need to have VAT or do I need to pay VAT? And
making sure that the gaps between projects aren't too big, that's probably the main concern. It can be demotivating when you have a quiet spell, but that's the nature of freelance work.
For tax advice at the moment, I've got a tax advisor I go and speak to. But at the moment, I'm not in a position where I can kind of employ an accountant. So I guess I'm in a bit of a middle ground that sometimes it's me researching to find the information, and other times I'll kind of use my tax advisor for advice.
We have an accountant, and that's where we go for tax advice. We do, however, we want to learn ourselves, obviously. So my mum, who's company secretary, and me often go to the accountant and say, how do you fill in this form or whatever. One of the things that working with councils and things like that is the construction industry scheme. And that's something that I knew very little about until I called up Revenue and Customs. And it's something that's very simple, but it's something that I didn't know anything about. So it's something I had to learn about, and I'm still learning about.
To find information on tax, I go to the HMRC website. I'm going to be doing my first tax return myself, self-assessment online, and we'll see how well I cope with that. Well, my latest piece of news is I've just found out I'm pregnant, 12 weeks, and yes, it does change things, but also it gives me that flexibility because I work from home to be able to return to work, hopefully not too long after I'm able.
What keeps me awake at night really is sometimes I just think, what happens if I don't get another booking? Or what happens if I make mistakes on my tax returns, or what happens if I'm not doing something I should be doing? I know that sounds a bit bizarre, but there's so many kind of rules and regulations out there, and sometimes I think, well, maybe there's ones that I don't know about that I should know about.
In 3 years' time, I'd love to have the distribution across the UK sorted. Every council, every person to know about the stair steady and what it can offer them, but also looking to distributing across the EU and America. We've got a lot of interest for the product, especially in America. I would like to go to university, but it all depends where the business takes me.